Iron Age marks a significant period in human history, characterised by the widespread use of iron for tools, weapons, and everyday items. This age began at different times around the world, but in South India, it is typically placed around 1000 BCE. This involved heating iron ore in a small furnace to produce a spongy mass, called a bloom, which was then hammered into shapes. Why in the news? The antiquity of iron in the Tamil landscape, dating back to the first quarter of the 4th millennium BCE, was based on samples drawn from archaeological excavations carried out by the Tamil Nadu State Archaeology Department at Sivagalai, an Iron Age habitation cum burial site in the Thamirabarani River Valley in Thoothukudi district. The Iron Age urn burial site, called Sivagalai Parambu, spanning 500 acres, lies in the northwestern part of the village, and the graveyard extends into the neighbouring villages of Petmangararam and Srimulakarai. A total of 24 trenches were excavated at these sites, which exposed around 160 urns. The P-75I submarine is part of India's plan to modernise its naval fleet with advanced, conventional submarines equipped with air-independent propulsion AIP systems. This programme aims to procure 6 stealthy, state-of-the-art submarines to enhance the Indian Navy's underwater capabilities. Why in the news? MDL-TKMS, a joint venture between Mazagon, Dock Shipbuilders Limited, MDL, and ThyssenKrupp Marine Systems, TKMS, has submitted a bid for the P-75I submarine project, an ambitious initiative by the Indian Navy. The design offered by TKMS in partnership with MDL is based on its highly successful Class 214 submarine and Class 212CD and has an operationally proven AIP module. Navantia has offered a submarine based on its new 80 class of submarines, the first of which was launched in 2021 and commissioned into the Spanish Navy as 81 Isaac Peral in 2023. If successful, the MDL TKMS bid will contribute significantly to India's maritime security and self-reliance in defence manufacturing. The National Company Law Appellate Tribunal, NCLAT, has provided significant relief by overturning a decision made by the Competition Commission of India, CCI, in certain cases. The CCI, which is responsible for regulating anti-competitive practices in India, had previously imposed penalties or issued directives based on alleged violations of competition law. The tribunal has scrutinised CCI's assessments, ensuring that businesses are not unduly penalised without clear justification. Why in the news? Indian tribunal temporarily suspended a 5-year data sharing ban between WhatsApp and owner Meta Platforms, a major relief for the US giant which had warned its advertising business will be affected. India's National Company Law Appellate Tribunal, NCLAT, ordered a suspension of the data sharing ban while it continues to hear Meta's challenge to the antitrust ruling. Facebook's registered entity engaged in selling advertising in India, Facebook India Online Services, reported revenue of $351 million in 2023-24, the highest in at least 5 years. India has launched a bold initiative to end tuberculosis, TB, by 2025, aiming to reduce the burden of the disease and eliminate it as a public health threat. The government's comprehensive strategy focuses on early detection, effective treatment, and addressing the social determinants that contribute to TB transmission, such as poverty and malnutrition. Why in the news? The goals, i.e., NTB targets of 90% reduction in TB deaths, 80% reduction in new cases, and 0 TB-affected families facing catastrophic costs by 2030 seem to be a distant dream. On extrapulmonary TB, EPTB affects any organ of the body: lymph nodes, the kidneys, the brain, the spinal cord, bones, joints, and skin. However, the NTEP's main focus has been on pulmonary TB affecting the lung, as it is most common and transmissible. What needs to be done? Ownership at all levels is essential to make programmes work. Idukki district in Kerala collaborated with Kudumbashree, one of the largest women's self-help networks in the world, for their TB elimination efforts. Poverty eradication remains one of the most pressing global challenges, with millions of people living below the poverty line, struggling to meet basic needs like food, shelter, and healthcare. International organisations like the United Nations and World Bank, along with national governments, are committed to achieving the Sustainable Development Goal of eradicating extreme poverty by 2030. Type of poverty: absolute poverty, relative poverty, urban poverty, rural poverty. Why in the news? Last month, the government released a fact sheet on the 2023 to 24 Household Consumption Expenditure Survey, which recorded a decline in poverty in urban and rural areas. Over the last few years, policymakers and academics have debated the issues of incomparable data sets, the unavailability of data, and the definition of an adequate consumption basket to determine a poverty line. In addition, we still have the National Food Security Act, which covers nearly 80 core people. Thank you. Follow Enshine Ias Academy and subscribe this video